Wait, can anyone hear me? Can anyone hear me? Let me know, by the way. uh, yeah, can someone let me know inside the chat? Okay, awesome. All right. So welcome to CATAN class, everyone. We're gonna start in 5 minutes. Yeah, I'm nervous about this since hundreds and thousands of people are gonna watch this, but I'm excited. Okay, awesome. So everyone can hear me. All right. People are saying hi. All right. Thank you. I appreciate it. We're gonna be learning from we're gonna be learning 3 lessons, and we're gonna be studying one of the most amazing, one of the most legendary players in my opinion. He's 2-time New York regional champion. So yeah, okay. I'm glad to see that quite a few people are watching already. So yeah. Thank you so much for also dealing with my dealing with my slow uploads. I try my best to make the highest quality content possible, so it takes a really long time. So I did work really hard on this, and I hope that it shows through this class. Thank you to Elliot, who said, Elliot Sturrow said, I love your videos. Thank you. And I love all my viewers who watch my videos, as this channel would be nothing without y'all. So thank you. I'm so excited and nervous for this also, too, Finley Briggs. All right. So exactly 5 o'clock p.m. Central Time, I'm going to go ahead and start. Any chance that I can link, I can share the Discord link? Yeah, of course. Give me 1 second. All right, so on my alt account called Competitive Catan, I spit out the Discord link. Greetings from Peru. Awesome. And partly this video, or this Catan class, was inspired by someone named Mark Rober. He has like tens of millions of subscribers on YouTube, and he does a similar science course. So yeah, he's doing something very similar where he decided to stop his usual content and create a little science course that was a little bit more interactive for the people because of COVID that's going on. So and I watched every single one of his videos, and I absolutely love it since I like science too. So this was heavily inspired by him. Sehan, you said crap. I didn't know you had an alt. That competitive Catan alt account, it just has like hundreds of like unlisted videos. So sadly, there's nothing actually on the alt account. I was planning to post something, but I decided it's just better to funnel everything on the DyLighted account. Yeah, competitive Catan is the alt account. But DyLighted is just my main thing. And there's no videos on the alt account anyways. It's just for me to help me. Good morning from New Zealand. Wow, I'm glad that I can attract everyone, people from all over the world. That's amazing. How long is a class? That's a great question. I'm anticipating it for it to be around 30 to 40 minutes. So it should only be around 30 to 40 minutes. But afterwards, I'm going to try and encourage everyone to go ahead and hop on to the DyLighted Discord and just play games with each other on colonist.io. Darius Thompson says, when do I graduate? Should be in 2 years. And Bragnes says, good night from UK. Yeah, I had to try and pick like the best time zone for everyone. Sadly, you know, like I can only pick one time and it can't work for everyone. Although that I do wish that this time could work for everyone. Anthony Abeda says, you're a uni student? Yes, I am a uni student. What am I studying again? I don't think I've told anyone what I'm studying. I'm studying biology. And I'm minoring in secondary education. Where do I go? I'm gonna keep that confidential for now. Alright, 1 minute left, and I'll go ahead and start. Last question, Ramon says, do I play Cities and Nights? I played it like a few times, but other than that, like I'm really, really awful at it. I prefer just the base game. Casper says, biology teacher? Yes. Or Cameron Casper. Yes, biology teacher. All right. 30 more seconds. Oh, never mind. I lied. All right. Welcome to CATAN class. I am live. All right. So, basically, before we start class at all, I want to go ahead and talk about some announcements and stuff. So, basically, I'm going to be live every single day, or not every single day, at 5 o'clock p.m. Central Time on Saturdays. And these will be recorded and posted. So if you can't make it, or if it's a really awkward time zone, that's okay. Since these will be 5 o'clock p.m. Central Time and will be recorded and posted. And I'm going to be doing these classes for at least 3 more weeks. So you can expect to see me a few more Saturdays at 5 o'clock p.m. Central Time. And then after 3 weeks, I'm going to go ahead and reassess and see like if y'all like this stuff. If you don't like it, then I'll just go back to my usual content. So I'll just probably go and reassess after 3 more weeks, and we'll see. But if you do like it, then I'll probably be making more of these. But anyways, I want to talk about my favorite player, or one of the most legendary players, and his name is Bo Peng. So this is Bo Peng on the left over here, and he won the New York tournament, New York Catan tournament twice in a row. He won it once in the 2019 year and won it once in 2020. And his current tournament record is 10-0. So basically, he out of his tournament career, he's never ever lost a match. He's absolutely an amazing player. And also New York, in my opinion, is one of the hardest regions. It's one of the hardest regions. So for him to go 10-0 in one of the hardest regions, it's absolutely phenomenal. And in a tournament, not only did he get 10-0 in a competitive setting, the matches get harder and harder since you have to go through a semifinals and then a finals. So 10-0 is an amazing, impressive record. So basically, Bo Peng, this was one of the boards that I picked out that Bo Peng was playing, and he's placing in the 4th position. So let's go ahead and look at the first position, or let's go ahead and look at the first 3 placements first. So in the first position, someone took the 5-6-9, which makes a lot of sense. And basically, it's all strong or wheat and sheep. So now I'm gonna go ahead and give you guys, let's say around 1 minute or 30 seconds to 1 minute where the second player should go, since I think it's pretty easy if you've been watching my videos. So I'm going to give you like 30 seconds to choose where the second position will go. And I want to go ahead and point out the ports real quick. So this is the wheat port. This is the brick port down here. This is a 3-1 port. This is the wood port, 3-1 port, 3-1 port. This is the ore port, 3-1 port, and then the sheep port. So the 5-6-9, not only is it amazing ore wheat sheep, you're also pointed towards the sheep port. Alright, I'm starting to get some answers along. Okay. 5-8-10, 5-8-10. Everyone's saying that. So, well, y'all should also specify which 5-8-10. I like to specify whichever spot it is by saying 5, 8, or then 10. So whenever there's an or spot, I like to put in parentheses or. So yeah, majority of the people are saying 5, 8, 10. That's definitely the right choice. I think that 99% of competitive players, well, maybe not that much, but like 90% of the competitive players who are really good will agree that the 5, 8, 10 has to be the second choice. And that's because the wheat port over here is a monster, and you're also getting straight up the best or wheat. So this is by far the best placement on this board, by far. So y'all knocked it out of the park. And you could, someone's saying you could choose 8, 5, 4. You're right. But the 5, 8, 10, I feel like it's a little bit safer and gets you more wheat, which synergizes better with the wheat port. So, yeah. And let's go ahead and look at the third position now. I'm just going to go ahead and just tell you what the third position did, since I don't think it's as clear as the second position. And the third position, they decided to choose the 5, 8, 10, which is the 2 brick spots, and then with the or. Makes a little bit of sense, since there's a lot of wood, and I think what third position is thinking when they chose the 5, 8, 10 is that, see how there's a lot of wood, wheat, sheep spots? There's the 6, 9, 3, 4, 5, 11. Or there's a lot of the times the wood is paired with the wheats. So when they choose the 5, 8, 10, they're choosing they're anticipating that they're going to get a strong wood spot with a wheat spot, since there's 2 of them available. So, Bo Peng, they are placing in the 4th position. This legendary player who won 10 games in a row, who is a very dominant figure in the New York scene. So where do you place as Bo Peng, and why in the 4th position? And this is a really, really tough choice. So I'm going to go ahead and let y'all spit out inside the chat. But before you just spit out the numbers of like the placements, I want you to think about, why am I placing here? Because just because you get the right placements doesn't mean you know why it works or why it's really, really strong. So go ahead and tell me what the two spots that you'd place, and along with why, and as much reasoning as possible. Okay, so the one Sparrowhawk says 5, 9, 11. Let's see. 5, 9, 11. I don't see a 5, 9, 11 on this board. Or 9, 4, 3. Okay, well, someone else says 4th position is going to have to take 4, 9, 11 or 4, 5, 11. 4, 9, 11 or 4, 5, 11. Okay. But remember, there's 2. And whenever you do place, you have to figure out both at the same time. 6, 9, 3. 8, 4, 3. Okay, I like this. You have the strongest wood brick. And keep in mind there's a wood port over here. So the 6, 9, 3 wood port. It's pretty good. Oh, here someone says the 9, 10, 11, 8, 4, 3. So 9, 10, 11, 8, 4, 3. And I like this because I'm guessing you're anticipating that this person starts off with the free road. So you get all 5 resources, a little bit of strong wheat, ore and wheat. Okay. And then someone else says 8, 4, 3, 6, 9, 3. Okay, that one I already heard before. 6, 9, 3, and then the 6, 9, 3, and then we have the 6, 3, 11. Yeah, this one also, it can work. You have all the wood over here, and you get a little bit of, you have the coordinated 6s, but these aren't really coordinated. It's not actually coordinated. You have the wheat over here, and you also have the sheep over here. Okay. Man, 241 people are watching this. Oh gosh. Okay. Well, I'm going to go ahead and move on. And I'm actually not going to tell you the answer. So there's a lot of options you can do here. But basically, we're going to learn 3 lessons inside this class. And we're going to use these 3 lessons to go ahead and figure out why Bo Peng chose in the 4th position. Since I just wanted to go ahead and let you look at this board and take a screenshot, just so you can go back and look at it and apply these 3 lessons later. So we're going to look at this at the very beginning of the class, and then we're going to go ahead and look at it at the very end of class, after we have learned the 3 lessons. Okay. So the first lesson, I'm just going to give you like a little preview. Our opponent's too strong, utilize blank placements. Lesson 2 is blank opponent's placements. And lesson 3 is place while thinking about blank. You'll see what they are. Don't worry about it. So this is a board where it's the 2018 World Championship Finals. And there's a lot of options for 4th position, since 1, 2, 3, this is 1, 2, and then 3. These are the placements so far. So if the 4th position decided to do this, the 5, 6, 9, and the 8 ore, my question for you is, what are the weaknesses of this setup? Oh, don't worry, 4th position didn't actually do this setup. I saw someone say, what? But my question for you is, what are the weaknesses of this setup if fourth position decided to do something like this? So I'm going to go ahead and see your responses real quick. So people are saying no wheat equals defeat. Trash wheat. Oh yeah, I should say, keep in mind that this spot over here, this spot over here is a wood port. So yes, they don't have wood, or sorry, yes, they don't have wheat, but there is a wood port with 8 points of wood to cover it for it. So let's before I ask you, well, keep on thinking about the weaknesses, but let me tell you about the strengths of the setup. So you're going on the triple shared ore, which is great. You're also going on the strong sheep, and you're also going on 8 points of wood, and that 5, 6, 9 is a pretty strong spot. And you're on the wood port, so you're able to actually get a pretty strong ore wheat sheep game. And the thing is, you're also, hey, look, this 9-10 is pretty open for you to expand to. So if you can expand to this 9-10, it's actually not that bad. And you also have this 3-1 port down here. So you can have a strong little mini ore wheat sheep setup if you can expand to the 9-10 and stuff. And it's not as, those are the pros of the setup. Someone else says, few numbers. Okay. Chandra, someone else says, knighted real fast. I don't think so, actually, because this 8 ore is triple shared, and whenever a spot is triple shared, it tends to be blocked a lot less. Okay, someone else says, relying on port strategies is bad. That's a good one. Okay, and I'll explain a little bit more and why in just a second. Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and I was searching for the right answers. That's okay. That's a hint that I didn't find one yet, but that's okay. Another one's, someone also said you're competing with third position for largest army. Not just that, you're competing with first, second, and third position for largest army. So let's go ahead and, so this basically, the biggest weakness of this setup is that by taking a coastal spot over here, since you're taking straight up the 8 ore, you're allowing your opponents more space on this board. And so whenever you take a coastal spot as third or fourth position, let's say, or as fourth position, you allow third position, second position, and first position to get a stronger spot. Basically, by allowing more space, you allow your opponent to have more options, which is really dangerous. So here is just like a simulation, or like one of the variations of where people would place on this board. Since now let's look at everyone. First position, they have strong wood brick. They also have the brick port over here, and they also can expand to the 9-10. Second position, then the 11-5-9. They're on strong sheep, 2 wheat tiles. The only person with this 8 ore, and they're about to expand on the sheep port too. They also have brick. And third position, they also have the strong ore wheat sheep over here. Even more wheats over here, and they're also ready to expand to the 6-3-11 over here. This is just one of the many variations if fourth position did this, but this is just one of the ones that I just quickly spit out. But essentially, by placing on the coast as third and fourth position, you allow your opponent to get a better position. That was, but also, let's look at this 5-6-9 setup real quick. Someone said port strategies are bad. But I wouldn't necessarily say they're bad, but let's look at this. Since no wheat equals defeat, that's one of the core lessons of Catan, no wheat equals defeat, you're going to be porting all this wood over here to wheat. So even though you start off at 18 points of production, you're not actually at 18 points of production, since this 8 points of wood is going to be ported to all wheats. So since it's a 2-for-1 wood port, our 8 points of wood is actually going to turn into 4 points of wheat. So now we look at the setup one more time, we realize that we have 5 points of sheep, 5 points of ore, and 4 points of wheat. And if we look at it from that perspective, the setup sort of goes downhill really, really quickly. And also, by placing not on like one of the center hexes, or like the triple hex spots, like by placing on the coast, our opponents, their setup increases, like I was saying. But the thing is, in Catan, it doesn't matter how good your individual setup is. it matters how good your setup is compared to everyone else's setup. So in this scenario, even though first you might argue fourth position, like, hey, they might have strong or weak sheep, it doesn't really matter since all their opponents just straight up have better or weak sheep or better options to win. So this is why this is not good. And the same thing could be said 5-6-9. If you take the 8-3 over here instead of this wood port, it's also not very good either, because even though it is, yes, you get a tad bit of wheat, you still have a 3-1 port. You still lose because, or majority of the time, you'll still lose because your opponents just straight up have a better or weak sheep setup. So, lesson 1 was opponents, but when I say opponents are too strong, utilize defensive placements. So essentially, this is what fourth position actually ended up doing. Fourth position knows they can't take something like the 8-3. Because if they decide to take something like the 8-3, basically you're leaving your opponents even more space on the board. So what fourth position did was take the 5-6-9 and 11-9-5, which I really like actually. Because you're denying your opponent space and you're making everyone's quality of settlements decrease, theoretically. So here's my question for you now. What do you do here as the fourth position if you're playing as me, since I am playing as the fourth position over here? People say I have no idea how to play defensive setup. The core thing about playing defensively is not letting your opponents have too strong of a setup by placing in a particular way to not let your opponents have a super strong setup. And that might involve that you might not have a strong setup either, but at least you deny your opponents from having a strong monster setup. So I want you to go ahead and tell me the 2 placements. I'm going to give you all like around 1 minute. I'm going to give you all 2, since it's fourth position, tell me both your placements, and I want to hear the reasoning of why. I'm going to go ahead and wait and just go ahead and read the comments and just be quiet for a little bit and let you think. Where do you go here as a fourth position? I'm seeing a lot of numbers, but remember, I want to hear why. Oh yeah, and also, also keep in mind that the lessons I'm teaching, they also apply for this board too. So I'm seeing some answers that are saying that you want to go on the coast. We remember, well, I was just trying to teach this before, but as a fourth position, you don't want to be taking the coastal spots, because if you do decide to take a coastal spot, what that means is your opponents, every single one of your opponent's settlements will be much stronger. So in general, as a general rule of thumb, you don't really want to go and place on the coast as fourth position, especially that, since third, second, and first position all have much better spots. All right, I think that's enough time. So the second lesson is to predict your opponent's placements. Yes, I've said this before, but this goes hand in hand of defensive placements, because you'll see why. But basically, being able to predict your opponent's placements and make their life hard, it goes hand in hand with making basically, I can't speak. Oh gosh, but predict where your opponents will place. and especially in the 4th position, since you can predict where everyone else will go. But with that being said, let me talk about real quick, like 30 seconds. Let me talk about callinus.io. They are sponsoring this stream or video, so thank you so much to callinus.io. And I quickly want to talk about one of my favorite things about callinus.io. And whenever you create a game instantly, you're able to choose a lot of different settings, which I really, really appreciate. This game speed right here, you can make it go fast, or you can make it go very, very slow. And that's the reason why we're able to have bullet tournaments, because we can make it go like very fast. And you only have like 1 minute to do decisions, and that's pretty stressful. But it allows for a new tournament type. And I really, really appreciate callinus.io for us to allow it to customize all these settings. So thank you, callinus.io, for sponsoring this video. And go play it on callinus.io, since they're amazing. And that's how I prefer to play Catan nowadays. So this is what I did as a 4th position, but it's wrong. This is what I did inside the game, and I got crushed. And this was wrong. I took the 6-4-3, and the thought process was, okay, there's a sheep port over here that I can potentially expand to. I double up my wheat. I have strong ore over here. I have 2 tiles of wheat, and I don't want to be taking. And this is like, in general, this is a strong producing spot. And this brick, it helps me get like 4 out of the 5 resources. But in a second, I'll show you why this setup loses a lot. But before that, where will everyone else place and why? And I think once you place everything out, you'll go ahead and see it. So go ahead and place it out. So I want you to write 6 will go blank, 7 will go blank, 8 will go blank. So go ahead and think, where will 3rd position go? Where will 2nd position go? And where will 1st position go? All right. Also, I want to keep in mind that these are, assuming that these are amazing players, and actually, I know that every single one of these players, they are very, very good players. They're all like top of the top players. So I'll go ahead and tell you where the 1st person will go. They will go on the 3rd position. 3rd position will take the 4-5-11. If they're a good player, and 3rd position is a good player. They're a very good player. And the reason why they take the 4-5-11 is because they have double ore spots over here. They have the double wheat spots over here. And they're alone on the sheep. And there's a wheat port over here. This, in general, is a monster amazing setup. 3rd position almost has to go here. Because if you don't go here, what are you taking? You're going to be going low wheat? It's not that good of a choice. You should be taking the double wheats. And if you have double wheat, double ore, that's usually like a really, really good sign. Having double wheat and double ore. So let's go ahead and see if I can see any search for answers for the 7th pick. But placement number 6 will be 4-5-11. Let's go ahead and look for placement 7. Okay, awesome. 2nd position, they are saying that so 2nd position, I think that they have 2 options, assuming that 3rd position goes a 4-5-11. 2nd position can either take the 8-10 and go right here, or they can take the 9-3-11. But one of the biggest reasons of why the 3-9-11 is a lot better over 8-10 is because if you go to 3-9-11, you can point your road upwards. And since you have 2 wood spots and you're on the 6th brick, you can straight up get to the 8-10. But rather, if you just build on the 8-10 yourself, well, it's sort of pretty slow. Like you can't get the 3-9-11. So what you want to do is you want to go in the 3-9-11 and then build to the 8-10. Or 2nd position can simply just go 3-9-11 and then point their road downwards, and they have the brick port over here. So now, as 8th pick, you know that the 3rd position chose here, 2nd position chose here. As the first pick, where do you go now, and why? And I'm seeing some people say it also. All right. Well, looks like y'all have got it, and I think you guys have got it, and that's the 249. And the first position chooses this. So let me go ahead and show you what happened. So this was This was a competitive game with all really good players, and it chose this. So now let's go ahead and look at my position, DyLighted, and thinking about using the logic of defensive placements. Is my placements, are my settlements better compared to all of my opponent's placements? So is this better than all my opponents? Or can I win and can I beat my opponents? That's the question. Yeah, and people are saying 249, that's crushing. I agree. This 249, it is a crushing spot. Like, it's a very, very strong spot. So basically, with this setup, with me as orange, I lost this game, and I lost this game really, really badly. And that's because my opponent's setups are just straight up better than mine. It's just not good. My setup is just pretty trash compared to my opponent's. Since red over here, they had the monster overweight sheep setup, like I said. Blue, now they have a monster setup too, with the 4 ore that's triple shared. It's triple shared sheep, so these two spots don't get blocked. Or if it does, it will get moved very quickly. And they also have strong wood brick and access to the 3-1 port. And people are saying inside the chat, blue and red are so far ahead. And yep, that's exactly what happened. Blue and red got very far ahead. Orange and black, we were very, very far behind this entire game. So basically, defensive placements plus predicting where other people will place. This is one option for the defensive placements. So by doing this right here, the 3-4-5, what I effectively do is I remove red from this 4-5-11. So if I can remove red from this 4-5-11, now they're sort of like, now that's sort of screwed. And it puts them in a much, much worse spot. So because I put them in a much worse spot, now they're, yeah, like basically I'm making everyone's settlements a lot worse. So they're probably going to be choosing something like the 4-9-11 or something like that. But it's hard to say, since by making their choice a lot tougher, who knows, they might it's not as clear cut because their choices are a lot tougher because I placed in a defensive settlement. I'd also like to say, someone else said, oh, DyLighted, you can go 6-4-3, 4-9-11. I actually think that's a lot better than this one. It's not a lot better, but it's also a fine, strong alternative. And what you do is, if you do 6-4-3, 4-9-11, you lock the 4 ore and you lock first position out of ore. So that's why I like this one in particular. Oh, someone says, why choose the 3-4-5 instead of the 4-5-11? Let's go ahead and look at it. Since if we choose 3-4-5 instead of 4-5-11 instead of 3-4-5, we'll allow third position to now just get the 6-4-3. Since they have wood to pair with their brick, they have the double ore still, and they're just probably expanded the 3-1 port. But yeah, you can argue that the 4-5-11, there's pros and cons to this. But the issue is, if we do 4-5-11, we assume third position chooses the 6-3-4. Second position over here, they'll probably maybe choose something like the 3-9-11 again, and that leaves 5-8-10 player with a 2-4-9 again. So I wanted to choose 3-4-5 with the thought of trying to basically I'm trying to make it difficult for people to get ores and stuff. Also the 3-4-5 you can expand to the 8-3. Yeah. And someone says, why don't you point the road towards a 3-1 port? In spots like these, basically you don't. I'm pretty confident that someone's going to contest me. Or someone does 6-4-2, they're going to be pointing the road downwards. And since I have literally 0 road bidding, I am just struggling my hardest to try and get a settlement spot. Since in the more competitive games, people will cut off the pure overweight sheep players and just make them stranded with like literally nowhere to expand. And if that happens, you cannot win. So this is another example. Where do you place your settlement? And I am placing as the first position, and everyone else has placed already. So I want to go ahead and look at the ports. This is the sheep port. This is the wheat port. So I'm going to go ahead and let y'all think. Where do you place your settlement as the 8th pick? And I want you to tell me why one more time. Someone's saying 2, 9, 10. Okay, 2, 9, 10. You build your road to the 6, 2. That's certainly an option. 9, 9, 10, 11 over here. That's also another option. Two, 9, 10 coordinate. Let's see. 2, 9, 10 with the coordinated roads. The 6 weeks to complete your resource quintuplet. I can't read that. Quintuplet. That's also an option. I'm gonna go ahead and wait for other people. 4, 9, 11. 4, 9. Okay, now a bunch of 4, 9, 11 people. 4, 9, 11 is better. So let's go ahead and see why and what I chose. I chose the 4, 9, 11 here, and I intentionally went with that wheat since I could have taken the 2, 9, 10, and I could have expanded to the 6, 2. I could have done all this, but I chose the 4, 9, 11. And the reason why I chose the 4, 9, 11 and pointed downwards, well, first off, this one's pretty obvious, but you see I can expand to the 3, 10, 11. I can also expand to the 2, 9, 10 over here. I have 2 expansion spots, and I start off with the free road. But more importantly, let's go ahead and look at everyone else's spots. We see red over here. They are on a bunch of they're a bunch of wheats over here. They're also on strong wood brick and a little bit of ores, but they have no sheep. So essentially, every single time a 6 rolls, red gets wheat, I get sheep, and we're on exactly 6 points. Or sorry, we're exactly on 7 points of sheep, and red is on 7 points of wheat. So what I'm trying to say here, we have coordinated trades. Every single time a 6 rolls or 2 6s roll, it's and reds and we're mutually benefiting each other if you can trade a sheep for wheat with red. Since red needs a sheep, that's rare for them, and they can trade me a wheat, which is also rare for me. And I also have the sheep port over here in case red decides not to trade. But and I also have more better expansion spots. Since if I can go in the 2, 9, 10, I double up my wood and I'm doubled up, and I'm across from each other with the brick over here. And basically, I'm also close enough to connect too. So I thought that's why even though I can do 2, 9, 10, I thought that this setup was a little bit better. So basically, that was the 3rd lesson. Placing while thinking about trades. Since I placed here with the idea that I should be able to get quite a few sheep for wheat trades with red. And in this game, I did get quite a few sheep for wheat trades with red because I saw this happening. So essentially, we have 3 lessons. Are my opponents too strong? If they are, we need to utilize defensive placements. The second lesson is we need to predict where opponents will place. These 2 go hand in hand, because if we can predict where opponents will place and if we can't predict where opponents will place, that means they probably have a tough choice, and that's good since that's what we want to do with our defensive placements. And the third is we need to place while thinking about trades. So now we know these 3 lessons. Utilize defensive placements, predict where our opponents will place, and lastly, place while thinking about trades. Let's go ahead and revisit our old board. So, Bo Peng is placing in the 4th position. Where do you place as Bo Peng, and why? I'm gonna just go ahead and let y'all think. So I want you to think about the 3 lessons that we just talked about. So one more time, utilize defensive placements, predict where opponents will place, since those go hand in hand, and lastly, think about trades when placing. Okay, someone says, Ramon Rigid says, sorry if I'm saying your name wrong, I would like to lock the wood. Okay. Someone says, you resigned because first position is so strong. Well, second position is also very, very strong too. Keep that in mind. And remember, we have two placements. I'll go ahead and wait a little bit longer since this is a tough one, but I know that y'all can figure it out. I will wait until at least one of y'all figure it out, or at least one of y'all says what it is. Remember, try to use all 3 lessons. And I need you to say both. Remember, say both placements. Okay, so I'm seeing a lot of awesome answers. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and show you what Bo Peng did now and why. So it might surprise you a little bit, and this is why he is a top tier, top notch player. Bo Peng decided to place on the 6-9-3 and the 4-5-11. And you're probably like, whoa, what the hell? That's okay. So the 6-9-3, you have the wood port over here. And you're also on a bunch of woods. You're on 2 tiles of sheep. These are unblockable since it's too low. You're on 2 tiles of wheat. And you're on the triple shared wheat over here. So, and if once you expand to the 8-4, then you're gonna have 7 unblocked. You're gonna have 7 unique numbers. So people were saying that 8-4-3 or 9-10-11 8-4-3 setup. Oops, 9-10-11 8-4-3 setup. And if you do this, you have to recognize it's a little bit too weak because your opponents right here, 5-8-10, 5-6-9, these are monster setups. We have to come up with a setup that beats them. So the next point of why he placed with the 6-9-3 and the 4-5-11, it forces other people to trade. So let's go ahead and see where everyone else went. So the 6-9-3 and the 4-5-11, it's a defensive placement because he's taking a lot of the strong wheat sheep away from, first of all, third position. He's taking a lot of the strong wheat sheep away from these 2 players also. And he's also locking all the wood from from all these bricks over here. Oh, I forgot to move this back here. Whatever. But basically, what Bo Peng predicted was that in the third position, since they need wheat, they'll be taking the 9-10-11. In the second position, the 5-8-10, they'll be taking the 8-3-4. They'll be getting the free road over here. And in the first position, they'll be taking something like the 6-3-11. So let's go ahead and look at this board now with Bo Peng's predictions. We can quickly see that Bo Peng, we can quickly see that over here, third position has a bunch of bricks, 9 points of bricks, but 0 points of wood. Bo Peng has 8 points of wood and 0 points of brick. So not only is it very difficult to block, but also right here, he's anticipating a lot of wood for brick trades with the third position. And I said right here, exploiting opponents' habits. So Bo Peng wisely knew, not only that this was going to happen, but he also knew the type of players that he was playing with. He knew that third and second position, they like to trade pretty loosely. They're willing to trade the bricks away pretty loosely, and that's a good green light. That if I take all the wood, that can get a lot of wood for brick trades. So he decided to go on the wood, anticipating that he get a lot of wood for brick trades. And even if third position was really, really tight about their bricks, second position still goes on the 8-3-4 with a lot of bricks too. And second position also gets the free road. And they can get a lot of wood for brick trades to expand to this 8-4 and expand to this wood port. And lastly, I said 2 people on the 8 brick. So there's an even more trading partners for brick. In addition to that, Bo Peng is also close enough to connect if that's needed. But if you can get on the 8-4 and you can get in the wood port and then upgrade, you have an absolute monster wheat sheep setup. Not only is it very, very, very difficult to block you, since this 8 ore, 5 wheat, 9 wheat, 3 sheep, like these two don't get blocked. These two, this never gets blocked. This might get blocked, but it doesn't matter since you have all this wood for port fuel over here. So this is what Bo Peng saw, and he was able to crush this game against these two monster wheat sheep setups. So that's what he saw, and that's how he's able to win this game. Because he did a defensive placement, and then he predicted where other people would place. And then after that, he also knew that if I place this way, then I'm able to trade with my opponents. So that was the lesson, basically. I hope that was useful. And what questions do you have? Go ahead and ask me anything. I'm going to go ahead and start reading the chat now. So people says, is this game solved game theory wise? I feel like there's some pretty deep game theory in Catan. That's what Noah Solomon says. No, this game is not solved. And I think the future of this game comes from... I think the future of this game is solving it mathematically and having AI run through a bunch of simulations to solve the game. I think that is truly the future, where you can mathematically find the correct plays or find the game, the optimal moves of the game. But we also have to keep in mind that there's sort of two ways of thought. You can try to choose the more mathematically correct decisions, or we can try to exploit our opponents based off what we know. So if we know in this position, like let's say Bo Peng, if we know that these two players are trading very, very loosely, so he was using an exploitative strategy where since these two players play very, very loosely, then I'm able to do this strategy. While if you're trying to look for mathematically strong, mathematically correct placements, I think an AI sometimes would see like wood, wheat, sheep. You're starting on 3 resources. What the heck? They would not choose wood, wheat, sheep. Someone said, DyLighted, why is red not picking the 8-4? Let's see, 8-4. They could take the 8-4. That's actually a pretty good point. But I think that that's a good point, actually. That's a really good point. I think that well, let's go ahead and look at the pros of the 6-3-11. You do get an extra sheep tile. This is unblockable, and you do get to the sheep wood over here, and you also do get a little bit of wood. But you're right. This actually can fall apart if they do go in the 8-4. Actually, how come I didn't see that? What the heck? Yes, Bo Peng did win, by the way. Someone says, is it fair to say port strategies are typically better on low wheat boards? Yes, of course. They're a lot better because you're looking for ways to get wheat. So I like to say, if there's a critical resource that you're missing, there's 3 ways to get it. You either need to build to it, you need to either trade for it in terms of each other, or you need to either port for it. So like let's say there's a really low ore board, or there's a really low wheat board. Use these 3 things to go ahead and think about how you're gonna get your missing resource. So it says, can you show the board of Bo Peng's game results and talk us through how the development of how the game worked out? I can recall it from memory. So I think Bo Peng was able to go expand to the 8-4, which I think is let's just focus on Bo Peng's sequencing. He expanded to the 8-4, and then I think he expanded to the wood port after that. Then he upgraded to a city. Then he upgraded to another city, and then he started buying development cards. So why did he do that? Why was this his sequencing? So first off, he decided to go towards the 8-4 over the wood port for a few reasons. First reason was because if Bo Peng decides to not go for this 8-4 spot, this player over here, second position, they can always build 2 reds backwards and chop it off. It's not in their best interest, but they can do that. The second thing is that the 8-4, just you don't need to get on the wood port immediately. It's fine, since third position is always going to be needing more bricks, and second position is going to be needing more bricks. So it's totally fine. You can you can trade. He knew that he could get multiple wood for brick trades, and in total, you need 2 bricks to get in the 8-4, and you need 2 bricks to get on this wood port over here. And instead of buying development cards, Bo Peng knew to save up and upgrade to cities instead. Actually, I'm not. I forgot which one he upgraded first. I think it was a 4-5-11, since this is a little bit more unblockable. But he decided to upgrade twice before he bought development cards, because if you think about the strengths of a port strategy, since you know that you're going to be reducing the amount of production because you're going to be porting your resources, what happens is the strengths of a port strategy is the flexibility. So basically, once you upgrade so much, once you have a massive amount of production, then you can choose the path of least resistance. Since after you've got your flexibility, now you choose which way is the fastest way to win. So that's why he did his sequencing the way he did. And surprisingly, even though these players had like 3 or 4 dev cards, with this setup fully upgraded, Bo Peng was able to just buy like a bunch of dev cards. And after that, I think he just got largest army, 2 VPs, and then he won like that. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and look at one last question, and then I'm gonna go ahead and end it. Yes, this is still live, by the way. Can you play purely mathematically and never plan to trade and still win? You can do that, but I highly recommend against it. If you think about it, trading is one of the best ways to decrease variance in Catan. Since if you don't trade, then it's sort of like if the dice are going against you, let's say the dice are rolling poorly and they aren't rolling your numbers, it's your job as a losing player to trade. It's your job as a losing player to trade and decrease that variance and mitigate that variance. That's how the best players are the best, because they're able to trade really well. Okay, so I think that's all the questions. I'm going to go ahead and end the stream, and I'm going to try and post it as soon as possible for everyone that did miss it. But thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in live, and I really appreciate it. So I will see you next time at 5 o'clock p.m. Central Time on Saturday. This will be recorded one more time. And please do me a favor and don't skip class. But I'll see you next week. Also, lastly, before I end this, please let me know of any type of feedback of how I can help you learn Catan better. Since it's my job, since I want to help you. And if you don't give me feedback, then I'll be a worse teacher for everyone. So I would love any type of feedback on how to improve. Thank you so much for watching this video.